definitely been a game changer.
This episode of the Stickers and Scuffs podcast is presented by our friends at Quick Wick Fire Starter. Quick Wick is the world's best fire starter. All you need when building your campfire is Quick Wick. Light it, and in seconds, you'll get a perfect campfire, and you don't even need to add paper or kindling. Quick Wick uses all natural materials that are made right here in Canada. This product has been used by our very own Graydon Bunn and the entire Bunn family when they camp, and it's been so good that their friends and family use it as well. Don't worry about the wet weather either, because Quick Wick can light even when it's wet. Make sure you get a pack of Quick Wick in your pack for when you're camping and in your survival kit. Visit quickwick.com for where you can purchase it. Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Stickers and Scuffs podcast. Cam K, Graydon Bunn, and he's probably going to get sick of it after the end of this episode, but Feeney, Brandon Feeney is finally here on the show. You know, it's funny, Graydon, we've been doing the Feeney call for 2 years now, and now I think it's finally time that we get the man himself on the show, eh?
Seems like a good day for it. Fresh off the feature win, eh? There, Brandon.
Yeah, fresh off the first ever feature win. So
we like having first time winners. Welcome, bud.
I haven't even won one of these like RC cars here yet, so it's a good feeling.
Nice.
Well, we'll talk about this kind of. You had mentioned on social media that this has been kind of your breakout season in terms of heat wins. Now to get your first feature win, did it? I mean, I know for myself watching Race Monitor for the whole feature, going like, okay, something's going to happen. Caution's going to come out. Something's going to happen. What was it like behind the wheel for you?
So, if you guys weren't there, you have to understand that there's lightning on the back straightaway as we're lining up. I drew the pole. I'm like, this is how it's going to go down. We're going to go out there. It's going to rain, and I won't get a chance. So the entire time I'm out there, I'm like, all right, I know this like rivalry's going on. That 4 people said they wanted to wreck one guy, and I'm like, there's going to be yellow because someone's going to cash in the poker chips. So I'm like, there's lightning in the area. There's going to be a yellow, and there's a lot of cars. So I just got out to where I was comfortable in the lead and just started saving as much as I could for when that yellow came out. I'd never once pushed that car the entire feature.
Man, that's awesome.
It's funny how that happens, because of all the times where you feel, this is my day, and then everything goes wrong, and then now all of a sudden it's like the skies are about to open up, everybody's angry at everybody else, and then you were able to come away with that win. And what was the feeling, man, when you crossed the finish line, knowing it's finally done?
I crossed the finish line. My biggest worry went to let's make it through tech before anything's official. Mm-hmm. Because before, like, I'm so used to buying like cheap lower end cars, and like now I've got a good car. I'm like, I don't know half the parts that are on it. Like, I don't even recognize them to look at them. It's like, but like when I bought this car off Tom Walters, it was this really, really fast car, and I'm hoping I'm doing it justice by the way I'm driving it.
Well, that's one thing, Graydon, I guess we can talk about is one thing that we love hearing is history of race cars.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how many times, Graydon, we actually had this conversation just before you came on, Brandon, about a Pinty's car that we talked about at CTMP that we found out is 14 years old, and it's still running in the races and was up in the top 5. It's kind of crazy how that happens, how cars, they have a long shelf life in racing until they're not.
It depends on how they're treated. Like, so like if you have guys that can keep them at certain temperatures and stuff like that, so like bigger race shops that can keep the metal and everything basically from freezing and stuff like that. So like my cars always freeze, so they only last so long because it actually gets into the metal and changes the whole, basically how the chassis reacts. So sometimes.
Sorry, yeah, that's interesting. Like just how things are stored and that sort of like the different stresses that puts on the metal and that sort of thing. It's man, your car. You've sent me messages and pictures and stuff where you're working on the thing at all hours of the day. How gratifying. I mean, you've talked about already what it's like to win, but like all those times where you're like beating yourself down, working all hours of the night on that car. That's what it's all about though, when you finally get that first trophy.
Yeah, it's one of those things that I wasn't going into this year expecting I could win a race.
Right.
I was going in expecting to be relevant again. Like just being able to compete, because like I was going into the last few years, like I said, buying like lower end cars and then getting my butt whooped. And then I'm like, so I finally went in and bought one of the best cars I could find to basically figure out if it's me as the driver or is it the equipment I'm driving. And I think I finally answered that question.
Nice.
In the competition, level, it's super stocks have been kind of all over the place this year, Brandon. Obviously Delaware is kind of I guess they'd say the best market right now for any type of racing. They get extremely good counts. What was the division like this year at Peterborough Speedway in terms of the count, but not only just that, but the competition level for you?
So our counts, unfortunately, were a little bit low. We're looking at like 8 to 10 cars. The good news about that is every single car was within a tenth or 2/10 the entire field.
Wow.
So if one guy's running a 14.8, the slowest guy that night's like a 15.0. And with it being a tight track like that, there's not much room to pass, especially in the big cars.
Well, and I mean, in a way, it's almost a good thing, I guess, that you have. Yeah, sure that the counts might be lower, but the field being much closer in a way is that, especially for a place like Peterborough, which doesn't have, I guess you'd say, it doesn't have the maybe the notoriety as say a Delaware does, where it doesn't get the press I think that it deserves. I mean, we both have been at that racetrack. We both love that racetrack. Graydon's actually driven on that racetrack.
Hey, I offered to let you drive around that racetrack, and you worried about crashing the car.
I was worried first of all getting myself in the car. That's probably the biggest step for me. But
I will send you some videos of my buddy called Fat Mike. He's Fat Mike.
I know Fat Mike.
Yeah. So Fat Mike turned 4. He has videos of getting in almost every single one of my cars, and he is twice your size, Cam. Fine.
He's a big boy.
It's always fun for me to see how that happens.
I think there's a bet going on for Autumn Colors for Fat Mike to get into Doug Cathcart's car, his Pinty's car, in and out with no help for charity or something like that. So we'll see how that goes down.
Doug Cathcart's a pretty small guy too, so I don't know how that's gonna go.
Yeah, and Mike's like 6'3". I think he's down to like 300 something pounds, but he was like 500-600. Like he was up there. He was a big boy.
But see, that's also what I really like. I love about old like grassroots racing is that you do get people of all sizes in these cars. It does not matter. You're not you're not going to be the Formula One stick figures that get into those race cars, right?
You still have a couple of those. Like we got a couple of young guys that came from karting and they're like in immaculate shape, walking around with their shirts off. I'm like, what the hell, man?
So, I know a couple of those. I've seen a couple of those guys walking around making us look bad, eh?
I make myself look bad on my own. I don't have no help.
Yeah, so we've talked about Peterborough itself. Your home track, and like you said, I got to race on it my first race. Cam got to call his first race there, so it's kind of got something special to each of us here. What does that track mean to you? What's your favorite part about racing on it?
So Peterborough is the closest track to me, and honestly, with a guy like myself, it's cheaper to run there.
Right.
I grew up helping a guy like Rob Kerr in the mini stocks and Rudy Oppersma in the super late models back when I was 5-6 years old. and it's just been the closest place to go watch racing. And I've been going there since I was a kid, so made all the sense in the world to go race there.
It's one thing that we wanted to have you on for is to help kind of talk about Peterborough Speedway, because again, we're still, I've been there. That's pretty much my extent of it. I've seen races there, but it has been a long time. So people that are at this racetrack, who are people that are well recognized that maybe people that tune into this program would not know, that are very successful at this racetrack?
All right, so if you're coming to Peterborough Speedway, there's John Baker Jr., number 63. He is the iconic orange, basically the whole family. His mom, who passed away years ago, I don't even remember how long ago it was now, but she started wearing orange, so Johnny could, I think, see her up in the stands, and so all his cars are bright orange for years. And that lady, literally middle of the downpour, was the only lady up in the top of the stand. We're at a parts barbecue, which her husband owns a shop and stuff like that, and we're at a parts barbecue, and she pulls me aside. She goes, "You race that bone stock, don't you?" I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "How do you know me?" She goes, "I'm John's mom." She goes, "I like the way you drive. You drive clean. You're going to do well one day." And ever since then, me or John were friends. I told him, he goes, "You're the one she was talking about." So, but
that's cool.
So you got John Baker Jr. Is there anybody else that we should know of?
So you got people like, sorry, I took off on that one. You got Dan McCaddy, who is a legend himself. The man is super fast at Peterborough. I don't know how he does it, where the nitrous switch is. Doesn't matter what he brings out. He builds a car that day and comes out and stomps the field.
That's insane.
Like, Dan McCaddy built his own Pro Late model and came out and started walking guys, and unfortunately an accident was a little more fair to the competition after that. But you have guys like Cadillac Tyler Junkin. This is a guy that won multiple mini stock championships, built an actual Cadillac CTS into a Thunder car or super stock, and it races weekly. And then he was trying out late models and stuff like that, but he actually built a Thunder car out of a Cadillac CTS, like LS motor and everything.
Cool. That's badass.
You have your guys like Brian Babin, straight by Brian Babin. He's raced around. He's won a lot of championships, but like the biggest guy is got to be probably Ryan Oosterholt. The guy that won 3 championships in one season. He won mini stock, bone stock, and the trucks all in 1 year.
Holy moly!
That guy could drive anything.
Seems that way. Wow.
He was driving a mini stock for somebody, I think 2 weeks ago, and was running 15.491 in a mini stock that wasn't his. For the record, my fastest lap last week in the super stock in the feature was a 15.1. And he's missing 4 cylinders.
Oh, God.
How? Like, holy.
The guy can drive.
Yeah.
Wow. I look at this and go, one thing that Grady and I set out for when we first started the podcast was like, oh, we're gonna focus on big time racing. We're gonna focus on big time NASCAR. We change it. Okay, we'll do the Penny Series. That's gonna be it. But you know what? We started going to the local racing, and I tell you that the stories that you get and the personalities, the people that you meet,
and the talent, like Brandon was just talking about, the talent that doesn't get talked about. Like
it's very true. And you don't need to have 50 cars on a racetrack to put on a good race. We saw that you guys run super stocks that week. I think there was 8 of you guys, and it was a great race. It was extremely entertaining. It's a problem within, unfortunately, this season is very noticeable. What sets Peterborough apart, though, from the other tracks that say you've been on? What makes it unique, I guess, is the interesting question, because it's a different type of track. It's got its own characteristics.
I think the biggest thing about Peterborough is that there's not much of an outside groove. Like, you have to figure out how to make a pass. Unfortunately, there's some people that don't even attempt it. They'll just move you out of the way. I've always tried to figure out how to make passes. I've studied videos of John Baker Jr. He sent me videos of how he gets runs and where the hills and the bumps are that make the car rev up a little bit. All the little fine details that you would never think of. Like you never think there's a bump here that would spike the RPM and like load it up, and he's got all the video of what it does inside the car, like in the suspension and stuff like that when he hits that bump. But yeah, it's so you'll see videos of me and stuff like that on like the Stronco thing. He's been posting a lot of videos this year. You'll see I'm looking for a way to manipulate a run, but a lot of these guys there run built motors just so you can't get a run down the straightaway. Then you're running single file and you got to wait for a mistake or you got to use the bumper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen a couple of attempts where people ran through people as well. I mean, I imagine still hitting at Peterborough is not very fun. I'm curious, Brandon. I know we've talked about it a couple of times, but where does your kind of racing history start? Is it a family thing? Is it friends? Like, how did you get into it?
So racing back was my dad was helping Rudy Oppersma, who was a super late driver. He was also our mechanic back in the day. I think I started. I was like 2-3 years old when I was standing underneath the steering column. Yes, standing under the steering column, helping them bleed the brakes. And so basically went from there to then they went to helping, I think it was Rob Kerr in the early 2000s, late 90s. He helped him to a couple mini stock championships to the beginning of the Renegade truck division. And then all of a sudden I took a break from it and I didn't actually watch much racing at all until probably about 2013. I went up to watch Chase the Colors at Peterborough, which they used to run a show halfway through the year that if you won the Sunday show, you sat on the pole for Autumn Colors.
Oh,
so I was up there watching because everyone's going for it because you sit on the pole of a place that's not known for passing. You have a huge advantage. Mm-hmm. So I watched the guy go out the opening of turn one. Halfway through, well, not even halfway through, like literally the week before the racing started in 2014. I bought that car that went through the opening of turn one and started racing with it.
So how many racing? I guess we do like to have this question for our racers. How many different types of vehicles and like racing divisions have you actually been in?
All right, so I'm gonna have to ask this way: of actually racing, or have I driven on the track?
Well, I don't know, Graydon. I don't know. Do we say racing or just driven? Because I kind of want to know driven.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, just driven in general.
All right. Time and experience.
All right. So driven in general, I have driven bone stock, mini stock, Renegade trucks, super stocks, late models, open wheel modifieds, legend cars, pro late models. I've driven the NASCAR Cup cars around Kawartha during the Rusty Wallace driving experience. There's something else I drove too. There's another car. I don't remember what it was called though.
Just wrapped off like 9 there.
Yeah, it was another little one. It wasn't the midgets that you guys drove. I do want to try a pro challenge car. They look fun. Mm-hmm. It's basically a full-bodied Legend.
That'd be cool.
But it's just one of those things I'm trying to stay in a bigger car with the issues I'm having with my back lately. So
yeah.
It's definitely, and that's, I guess, another good is you kind of lead the conversation here, Brandon, is to the toll that racing can take on you. Because I guess, I mean, there's even just the enduro that we just saw at Flamborough this past week. There's some pretty big hits in enduro races. So for yourself, like, what has racing done to you? And I mean, I guess this is a silly question, but does every accident that you're involved in, is it painful?
So it's not every accident's painful. Like there's some that you don't even really feel. You're just more frustrated. You got to fix the car.
Wow, I can't even believe that.
But well, you're so strapped in nowadays. You got so much safety gear on, and the cage takes so much pressure. Like if sometimes you get spun around, and like I had a back of my car was destroyed, and I was just more pissed that I had to go start at the back.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was.
No, I get it.
The worst one probably had to have been last year in the Legend car. when me and another car got together. It was kind of just a racing deal. It sucked, but I went up and over. When I landed, all the suspension broke in the ledge and the chassis at the ground, which just exploded 3 discs in my back. So I got to deal with that every day now. So, but what really killed me was doing all like the demolition derbies and the demo crosses, figure eights and stuff like that, because that's what my dad did growing up. So I'm like, oh, I want to be like that. And it's like, well, now I want to be more competitive. So you're building cars tougher and tougher. Well, eventually they don't move anymore. There's a few times I've ate the steering wheel in a derby car.
It's a way of life, right?
Well, and the funny thing is, you get into racing where you're not supposed to wreck, but you wear fire suit, gloves, helmet that's all certified, and et cetera, et cetera. You get into a derby, it's like coveralls and a helmet off the shelf from 1970, good to go.
Yeah, exactly, right. And your sole purpose is just to wreck.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, by the way, you have the gas tank behind you and the battery beside you. I actually was derbying a BMW at the Orlando Fair for the Make-A-Wish Foundation, and my gas tank flipped on top of the battery and was arcing out. I'm like, I'm getting out of here.
Well, because I've seen that in like the enduros that, you know, if your car
I did one of those too.
Well, if you stop on track, isn't it like that? If they hit you, they hit you, right? Like,
yep.
And there's no better way to get whiplash. You know, you get a concussion than getting rear-ended by a car that didn't see you, right? So
yeah, like for your viewers that also watch the Jomo thing, I think they've probably seen the whole thing about me doing the enduro and catching fire and finishing third. That's not even the only time I finished the race on fire. Like, there's a whole bunch of times that like I'll see it through the dash or something like that, and I'll just be like, well, if I go by the tower beside a car, they won't see it to black flag me. So like I just have to make a run and like, oh look, we're side by side. So I had a bone stock one day. It was actually my original bone stock. The power steering was leaking onto the exhaust and catching fire, and I had 5 laps to go and I was running like 5th. I'm like, well, I'm not giving up now, and if they don't see it, they can't black flag me. So I made it up to I think 4th in the checkered. And then it was raining that day, so I just went through the infield and the puddles and stuff to put it all out, and it was good to go.
Nice. That's resourceful too.
I didn't want to waste a fire extinguisher. They're expensive.
There you go.
Oh yeah, I would imagine so. I mean, we've talked about this several times. Is that the search for money to get to, you know, they just say if you don't, what is it that we talked about, Graydon? What was it that people told us in Pinties is you don't get into racing to make money, right?
The old racing adage, how to make a small fortune, start off with a big one and quit while you're ahead.
Yeah. How do you become a millionaire racing? Start as a billionaire.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it. So that's like to Cam's point though, right? Where we've seen you show up at the races and you're your own crew too. I mean, you talk about stretching $1 as far as you can take it, man. Like when you're going home, you're not going home and just like parking the truck and trailer and going to bed. Like you're unloading and turning the car around for the next race, no matter if that means just adjusting or pounding out body parts or welding chassis, whatever, right?
Yeah. So I do have one guy this year. This is the first year I've actually had somebody. I call him Hey You. He's a kid at work. He's doing his apprenticeship and stuff. So I've actually got him into racing and stuff this year. So he's actually been good helping out. But like when you say unloading and stuff like that, people don't realize that trailer I haul in is my garage.
Mm-hmm.
Everything I do is either in that garage or when I hang bodies, it's usually with snowbanks or something like that I can pile around the car in the middle of winter.
Yeah. That's like, I remember like where you've showed me that, you know, you got a garage to work in or something. That's a big deal.
Yeah. That was the girlfriend's house. So it's very nice that she's got a garage, and
yeah,
she's been helping, and she does body work and stuff like that. So I'm very thankful that she's been helping with that portion, because that frustrates the crap out of me. Because it's the small minor details. Like, hey, I can work on 16 things, or I can focus on one dent. So
yeah, you guys, I can't like, so like, it's crazy the stuff that you have to do, really. And the effort that goes into it, because it's people look at racing and they go, oh, well, why isn't this person showing up? Well, why can we only get 6 cars? Well, because it's friggin' expensive. That's why. It is not a cheap, it's not a cheap hobby. It's not something that you make money in. It's, you do it because of the pure love. And you've had, and we have this sense about, you know, certain drivers that come on, and we've talked about this, and that there's guys that you just want to cheer for because you see how much effort that they put into it. And showing up with, you know, 1 or 2 people, there are some people in the super stocks, I'm sure, that have like a full pit crew with them. And like, how do you, I just say, how do you stay positive? Because I would imagine that there's days that is very difficult to do so.
Well, so we were talking there at the Quick Wick race, and there's guys there with people building shocks and stuff like that. They're all setting up the car. There's not many drivers down where we are that just drive. There are a couple that their dads and stuff work on it, but they haven't learned yet. So it's some of them know, some of them are learning, some of them don't care. They're just driving because they can. But yeah, it's one of those things that, like, and the worst thing is I'm not even big on setups. Like, that car is like 1 spring and maybe 2 turns of 1 load bolt since I bought it. And like, I've just been driving it, and I've always said if I could get half the cars what everyone else has, I can drive it the other half. But it's just, I don't have enough knowledge to be like, I want my car still 3/10 faster from my fastest lap. I want that car to be 14.4s at Peterborough all day long. Because I think the car has the capability, but like, I just don't know how to get it there.
Right.
I've been talking with some people, and they're like, well, we can do this. I'm like, yeah, but I don't want to hurt this about the car. Like, oh. So it's like, I need more turn in the center. I need more drive off, but I don't want to put a $15,000, $20,000 built engine in there. So that's out the window.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough thing, right? And I'm curious if the running in the Quick Wake series has, you know, how that experience has been for you, because you're in all of a sudden a different type of field, right? And a lot bigger of a field, a lot more competitive of a field, you know, a lot of new names than what you I mean, there's a couple. I think Marley's run. I don't know if Bailey's run.
Bailey ran Peterborough. I don't
Okay.
know if he ran Flamborough. Marley ran the 2 events I've run so far. I am planning on going down to Delaware. It's about finding a spotter, and it is about finding a crew guy because it's a Friday. But like I said, normally I don't have, like, I won that race on Saturday. I had no crew guy there because he was busy, no spotter, no nothing. It was just me, and I put up some party lights in the trailer for after. That was about it.
Man.
So,
Man,
talk about DIY, do it yourself, man.
That's amazing. I look at that.
But to answer your question,
yeah,
to running with those guys there, so I did 10th at Peterborough. The car was still relatively new to me. That was actually the second time I ran that car at Peterborough, if not the first. Yeah, I think it was the second. But so, like, I hadn't even got the car dialed all the way in or figured out what it was going to do at Peterborough yet. So I drove it 10th, which I saved tire way too long because new division. I didn't know how long I had to save tire for. We went 48 laps, green flag. Like, Sean Chenoweth was putting down like 14.6s consistently.
Yeah.
And he is one of the masters of that class. Like, he's a guy that if you went down to Flamborough when he's first started racing, it's all right. Sean Chenoweth's winning, who's fighting for second.
Yeah.
But so it's like, all right, I made a couple of mistakes here and there, and I went down to Sunset with old tires, as we were talking about, and I'm watching everybody else put stickers on. I'm like, well, this sucks. I'm gonna get eaten alive here. So I finished 13th there that day, and I didn't really feel bad about 13th because I got held up a few times in traffic with people I didn't really want to ruin their day by pushing the envelope, because I'm going in there only running partial season. I don't want to affect the points because I want to pass them, but it's like, I don't want to destroy their car because, like, I know what a fender costs in the car. I know what the wrap costs and stuff like that. I don't mind scuffing tire a little bit, but it's like, all right, starting to knock body panels off this car, it's not a good day. So I got
so when you get out of it and you make it through the race and the car is in one piece, is it like a victory in a way? Because we've seen the Super Stocks, they can get messy, and you can write off cars pretty quickly.
Oh well, that's any division though. It's not really the cars that are the problem. It's some of the drivers. So like you'll have some people. I've always said this, and I won't name any drivers. Because that way nobody's offended or anything like that. There are racers and there are people that can drive fast.
Mhm.
There are people that can drive fast and they'll put a car on pole like 7/10 faster in the field. But you put them in traffic that they can't do the manipulating of the pass and stuff like that without making contact and stuff like that. Where there's racers that know how to save their equipment. So a great example is Dwayne Baker at Sunset Speedway. He is like Mr. out of nowhere. The guy saves his stuff, comes out of nowhere, and ends up winning a race. And you take Super Stock seems to be where that level of aggression is kind of half racer, half like driver. You know what I mean? So it's like you get those two mixing up, and then all of a sudden you see a few like incidents happen and stuff like that, and then you get tempers going, and then you have crowd entertainment.
Oh man, you got a good way of putting stuff, but
yeah, you do because it's true though. We don't want to have those you don't making enemies is not what you want to do, right? And so we've been very, very happy to be on your 38 car, and you were one of the, if not the first weekly driver that said absolutely, you got stickers, I'll put you on. And we absolutely love seeing all your success. We met you. I met you at Motorama, and kind of from that time, it was kind of like, man, we really kind of want to see this guy succeed. And you have a couple sponsors on that 38 car, and we want to give you an opportunity to shout them out. And especially, you got a brand new one that you're able to take to victory lane on their first appearance in the car. So let's hear them.
All right, so I got Liquid Moly Canada, obviously. I got Inside Track Racing Magazine. I have Bounty Roofing, Korth ATV Association, K1 Graphics, Signworks Wrap the Car, MF Racing Design designed the car on iRacing. I have Auto Tire and Safeties, Pioneer Plumbing, and Platinum RV Sales that's on the side. And for your viewers here, just give you a heads up, there is a promo code for the Inside Track that just got released today, which you can share there, Cam. I have sent it to you. That is BF38. So if you go in there and you sign up, you'll get a little bit of a discount and some free stickers. So everybody likes free stickers.
Everyone likes free stickers, man. And what's the other thing is that you do have merchandise if people are interested.
I have merchandise kind of. That's all I have left is koozies. That stuff's come to a halt due to other problems right now. So I can't sell it. I do still have merchandise, I think, on the Epic Racewear website, but that's 3 or 4 cars ago. So
well, we're always going to support our man Brandon Feeney. We do the Feeney call loud and proud when we're at the racetrack for you. Brandon, I want to thank you for coming on and chatting with us. And you know what? Like I said, we can't wait because you're the first driver that we can announce we're back with for 2023, and hopefully more successes, more feature victories. No pressure or anything, but obviously that we'll be there supporting you all the way, and we appreciate your support for us. It's been
big time.
It's been great, man. It's been honestly a really fun experience because you do have probably one of the best looking race cars.
Had one of the best looking race cars.
Wow. She's getting
that whole front end. Yeah, no, that whole front end is held together with zip ties right now. So I know you were talking to Charlie in the booth. It had to be the night that it won that the whole front end is held together with zip ties.
Oh man.
We had a couple bad wrecks this year that I just don't have the money for body panels, so I had to make do. And there is going to be a change for 2023. We're looking at a body change. We are looking at getting a new livery done and possibly changing manufacturers on the nose.
Ooh.
So when you
Ooh.
posted the Chevy thing, I was gonna be like, I didn't say Chevy.
Ah!
And
oh no!
and
Oh,
we're
no.
not done racing yet. I'll be down with Flamborough this week,
Nice.
and I still
Right
got to
on.
bring out the mini stock yet this year.
Oh boy! Oh boy! Oh man!
Well, the season's winding down, but it's definitely not over then for Beefy Motorsports.
It's never over.
Nice.
It's just whether I have
That's
to get in the
attitude.
car or behind the computer.
There
Hell
you
yeah.
go. Brandon Feeney, thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you guys follow Brandon all season. He's not going to be any racing, much racing left to do, but next season, you're planning on being back at Motorama, I assume?
My spot is already booked at Motorama, so hopefully I get the car done. That's what it comes down to now.
That's the
Awesome.
incentive program.
You're standing there with no car, right?
I will always have something, but like I'd just rather have a pretty car. But it's whether I can save up enough money to get the body and get it on and then rewrap. The body I'm looking at by the time I put it on is gonna be about $3,000, and it's like, ooh, it's a lot of money.
So if somebody did want to go out and sponsor you, Brandon, how would the best way for them to contact you be?
Honestly, the best way to mostly nowadays on Facebook, because my phone's connected to me almost 24/7, and I don't like giving my phone number out because too many weirdos get it. You have no idea how many block phone numbers I've had to like add to.
We're learning that reality now. We're learning that people like to contact you, and you have no idea who they are.
Right?
Yeah.
It's weird how all these duct cleaning service, when I say, do you want to sponsor a race car, they hang up so fast.
That's a great
go.
way to get them to hang
Yeah,
up.
that'll turn the tables.
Yeah, you want me to spend money? I tell you what, you spend $4,000 on my race car. I will get you to clean the ducts.
Oh man.
Oh, thank you, Brandon.
No problem, buddy.